I'm sure you've heard the saying, the best camera is the one you have with you. And for most of us, that is this, our smartphone. And it's true, this camera can do so much and it's likely in your pocket with you every single day. Honestly, it's probably not even in your pocket, it's probably in your hand. And because it's so good, I think a lot of people are starting to create more content with these, but you can take it to the next level. Insta360, who you know for making some of the best 360 cameras out there, reached out saying they were working on something new, but it wasn't a 360 camera. Instead, it was for your phone. And that's where this comes in. This is the Insta360 Flow. This is, I think, the best smartphone gimbal you can buy. And even though Insta360 is, I guess you would say, late to the game, there's been plenty of this type of product from other companies out there. They've definitely had the advantage of being able to see what the other ones do and incorporate everything into this, but do it in a better way. Now, I'm just gonna be totally upfront. For me, as someone who does filmmaking for a living, having a smartphone gimbal is not something I plan to use every single day. But I don't think this product is necessarily for someone like me. This is, I think, for someone more like my wife. One of her favorite things ever is food and, trying new places, seeing if they're good or not. And lately she's been trying to share that more and more. I'll leave the link to her Instagram down below if you want to check it out. But this is perfect for someone like her. She is not going to be filming on like the Canon C70 like what I'm using now. She is going to be using her phone because it's the easiest and it's what's on her. And this can just make that footage even better. Now the Flow, I think it does three things better than the rest of them out there, and it's why it's even worth talking about. And it's the ease of use, it's the tools built in, and it's the smarts that you get with it. Setting this thing up is as easy as it gets. It's a one-step motion. You basically clip your phone into it and open it up and it's ready to go. It just flips down, and as soon as you do it, the gimbal turns on, stabilizes, and on your iPhone, it will even prompt you to launch the Insta360 app so that you can get all the smart controls. And it's really that simple. There's really nothing else you have to do. It just starts working. And it's also easy to, remove your phone or put it on. There's a magnetic clip that attaches to your phone, and that magnetically attaches to the gimbal. So if you need to quickly pull it off for like a phone call or something, totally easy to do. But once you have it open and set up, you have a 3-axis gimbal here that gives you super stable video, whether you're running around or just, holding it. And there are some smart features built in that give you a lot of different tools. The favorite one for me is that this has a tripod built in with extended legs, but it retracts into the handle, so you still get a really compact design. They just pull out and they extend, and you can open them up if you need to set down the gimbal. For instance, you want to film yourself or a group of friends, this is great for that. You still get a 1/4-20 thread in there if you want to attach it to something maybe more substantial, but you don't really need to because it has the tripod built in, whereas on a lot of other gimbals, you'd have to add that to the gimbal. The other nice built-in feature is the selfie stick, which you would not think would be able to fit in this handle. You have the tripod and the selfie stick. It's pretty impressive that it all fits here. But you just pull it out and extend it, and it tilts so that you can have a better angle for filming yourself or filming others. And another hidden feature here is that it even has a cold shoe mount built in, so if you wanted to attach a microphone, for instance, you could easily do that. But going from the compacted form to the fully extended form, I mean, it's pretty impressive that all of this fits in here, and it just gives you the most flexibility all built in. Now, all those features are great, but you need to be able to control the gimbal easily, and that's another place where this shines. So right up front, you have this control dial with a few different buttons and gestures that you can use to control your phone. So you have the typical things. You have a record button, you have the power button, and you also have the button to switch the camera. But this is a little multifunctional. If you click it once, it will switch to the front facing or the rear facing, just depending what you want. But if you double click it, it will actually turn the phone from vertical to landscape orientation. So if you're filming videos for YouTube, for instance, well, you could do landscape, but if you wanted to film for social media, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, anything like that, you can go into vertical video mode. And there's also different gimbal modes built in depending on how you want the gimbal to react. So if you want it to follow exactly where you point, you can do that. You can do a pan follow that locks the horizon, so wherever you point it, it keeps everything level, or you can do an FPV mode, which will point the camera whatever direction you go, but just smooth everything out. And to change those modes, where all the buttons are is actually a touch surface, so you can just swipe around and it'll change the different gimbal modes. So there's a lot built into this little control panel. And then in the middle, there's a joystick, so you can control the phone manually if you want to point it in whatever direction you want. And around that touch surface, there's actually a zoom control, so you can twist it and zoom in or out depending on what you're filming. So, I mean, there's a ton built into this little control panel. There's even more that I didn't cover here, but pretty much anything you need to control, you can do right from this place. Although there is one more button on the back, and that's where we start to get into the smarts. So there's a trigger on the back that you can use for a bunch of different actions. If you double click this, it will recenter the gimbal, just, get you back to baseline. But if you click it once, it will turn on the Deep Track 3.0 tracking. This is one of my favorite things about this gimbal. It's the fact that it can lock onto a subject and keep it perfectly in frame at all times. Now, the easy way to do that, especially if you're filming a person, is to tap that button on the back. It'll lock on, and wherever the person moves, it will keep it in frame. But if you want to track something else or you want to just do it manually, you can just drag on the screen in the Insta360 app and it will track whatever you select. And it works surprisingly well. It takes a little bit of the work off of the camera operator. They don't have to think about pointing the camera as much. They can focus on other things and let the gimbal keep the person in shot. And it works extremely well. This is where you can see that Insta360 has a lot of that AI smarts that they've been using from their 360 cameras. Deep Track is something they've had for years, and bringing it over to the phone app to use while filming with the gimbal, I think it's a smart move and it works really well. And the Insta360 app is actually pretty solid for filming. You get all the normal features that you'd expect, like up to 4K 60 recording. You get front-facing camera, back-facing camera, all the different lenses. All those are available. And you also get some of the AI features, like I mentioned, Deep Track, of course, but you also get like the scene optimization. They call this feature Shot Genie, and you can actually tell the app what your situation is, and it will give you ideas of what to film. So for instance, we were in a park, and you can just ask it, and it will give you different shot ideas that you can recreate, so you get some nice shots with your gimbal. Plus, you get a bunch of creative effects, like you can do a 360 panorama, you can do a barrel roll, you can do a dolly zoom. A bunch of those features are built in with the app and the gimbal. Now, all of this is being powered by the 2900 milliamp hour battery inside, and it's a battery life of a gimbal. Does it really matter all that much? Well, yes, in this case, because you can also use it as a battery bank. So if your phone battery starts to die, you can plug it in over the USB-C ports and charge your phone. That's a nice feature. But yeah, if you're looking at getting a smartphone gimbal in 2023, you have a lot of options to choose from, but having used a lot of them, the Insta360 Flow is the newest on the block, and it takes all the things that a lot of the other competition has done and just makes it even better. So if you're in the market for one of these, this is the one to get. Now, there's a lot more details and things that I couldn't cover in this video, so I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can check it out and pick one up for yourself. And I think now is one of the best times ever to get out there and start shooting. And as long as you have one of these, well, you really have no excuse why you can't do that.